Hello there, my name is John and I am a nobody. Today we're off to Italy via Mexico. It's a bit strange, but there you go. I once knew a very nice German lady who'd been to Mexico. I've never been there, but she told me this extraordinary story. So she'd been climbing up one of those temples they have in Mexico that had been built by the Incas or the Aztecs. And she got to the top, and this was where the indigenous priests would throw people off to appease their gods, or in the hope of appeasing their gods. How terrified they must have been to see the very first Spanish under Cortes, to see their very first horse with a mounted man on top who was armed and armored. It must have been very frightening for them. Anyway, she walked up the steps to get to the top of the temple, and she met this Mexican man who was standing at the top. And he said to her, "You're German, aren't you?" And she said, "How did you know?" And he said, "Because you haven't shaved your legs." So that's how he knew. So we're going back to Italy now. So to continue our story, obviously it's not a recent story because I was on tour with the late and still missed Vicky Sudden, and we had a guitar player with us who I will call the light-fingered one, because I don't speak badly about people behind their backs. I don't speak about people behind their backs unless I've got something good to say about them. Anyway, outside the hotel, which looked very Spanish or Mexican, there was a terracotta pot which was full of umbrellas, multicolored umbrellas, which were for the use of the hotel guests. And it's important to say that the hotel, the people in the hotel were very nice to us, and they put these lovely umbrellas outside for the guests to use. He'd fallen in love with one of them, and he had it with him the whole time. I tried to give it back to the man who'd arranged the whole tour, very lovely man, the promoter, but I'd been unsuccessful. So I thought, well, I'm not going to let him get away with this. So one day, at the end of the tour, the promoter turned up in a little bus. This is not a story about Daryl Bath, obviously. He was featured in another story I did called Rain, but it's not him, in case anyone is wondering. So we got to the airport in this little bus, and the back was full of bags, and the light-fingered one had secreted his umbrella under one of the seats. So when we arrived at the airport and unpacked the little van, I took his umbrella out while he wasn't looking and put it in my flight case. I used a big heavy flight case for the flight, but during the tour I'd used the bag, for my base. And I stuck it in the flight case, and he was looking everywhere for his umbrella by this time, but he couldn't find it, and he was getting more and more perturbed at not being able to find his umbrella. And then he walked over to the flight case. This is after the van had left, and thought, well, there's only one place it can be, and it's in the flight case. That's the only possibility. And he accused me of putting his umbrella in the flight case. Well, I just opened it up, and inside was my base. He looked even more confused because this umbrella had disappeared into thin air. He didn't know that I'd already returned it, put it under the seat where he'd hidden it, and the van had already left, to go back hopefully to the hotel and to return the umbrella to its rightful owners. Anyway, it was a happy end to the story. So I hope you enjoyed this one. It was only short, but it doesn't matter. Better short than long and lax, as the Scots say. Take care of yourself and those you love. And I hope to see you in the next one. All the best, and Tchaikovsky. I don't like tea.